Speaking of not living up to things, our classic movie review, Constantine, featuring Keanu Reeves.
Yes. Rather interesting choice for a choice of actor to play John Constantine.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Constantine is based on the DC/Vertigo comic of the same name. Actually, is it the same name, or John Constantine? Was the book named after him? I realize I don't know.
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was called Constantine. Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, Constantine is a hard smoking British paranormal detective/fighter.
Yeah.
Emphasis on the British.
Yeah. Yeah. Because in this movie, he is definitely not British.
No, not even trying to fake an accent.
Well, Keanu Reeves tried to do that in Dracula. Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, and it didn't go very well. So is he just like, okay, I'm never doing a British accent again?
Yep. In the one movie where it would have actually been appropriate.
Yeah.
So this is definitely a classic 2000s comic book movie, which means that it is fundamentally ashamed of its source material. It's clear that the writers and creators kind of wish they were doing literally anything else but working on a dumb comic book movie. And so, and there are a couple of approaches you can take there. There's the modern Marvel approach, where you just make it clear that anything that's comic book accurate is a joke. See WandaVision, where Wanda shows up in her comic book accurate costume and isn't happy about it.
Yeah.
Or the other approach is just you are Constantine in more or less name only, and you are just going in your own radical direction. Which then leads to questions about why use the IP to gain name recognition if you're going to dismiss the IP. Like Vertigo comics were big in the 90s, but they weren't like X-Men #1 by Jim Lee selling 5 million copies.
Yeah, it was a very much a niche fan base, niche franchises.
Yeah, I've heard comic book store owners say that it got women in the stores, like that and what do you call it? The Neil Gaiman one,
Sandman.
Sandman. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you also had like was Swamp Thing in there?
Swamp Thing started off before that, but I think there might have been a Swamp Thing comic part of Vertigo. If it wasn't, it was like the John the Baptist in the DC deserts setting the way for Vertigo.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. You also had like V for Vendetta was in there, and Watchmen. Yeah.
Right. Like even if things that even if they weren't officially Vertigo, were basically Vertigo before Vertigo.
Yeah. But
yeah. So this isn't an adaptation of the comic book. What is it actually about?
Yes. So it's about so John Constantine is going around doing his doing his thing of fighting. They're not really demons. They're half-breed demon humans because demons aren't allowed in our plane, and neither are angels. So any creatures you see are these. They're half breeds. They're somewhere in between, and so he meets a detective, LAPD detective named Angela Dodson, who's played by Rachel Weisz. She most people remember her from the Mummy movies with Brendan Fraser.
Oh, that was her. Okay, I thought she seemed kind of familiar.
Yeah, she was Evelyn Evelyn, I can't remember what her maiden name was, but she becomes Evelyn O'Connor in the later movies. And it starts off because her twin sister, Isabella, dies. She jumps off a building and at her mental health hospital and lands in the pool. And everyone thinks that she ended herself, but she's not convinced. And so, she's her big motivation is that she wants to have a Catholic funeral for her. But of course, anything about Catholics, ending oneself, you damns you to eternal hellfire.
Right. You don't get last rites. You don't get any sort of blessing.
Right. And so then she runs into Constantine a couple of times, and I'm trying to remember why. That's right. She watched the video of her sister, and her sister said his name. And so that's how she tracks him down, and she's trying to figure out, like, okay, well, why would she? Did she end herself? And if she did, why did she do it? Or what's
right?
What's going on? Yeah.
There's also an opening scene where you have Constantine basically doing an average mission where he goes to some sort of, I don't know what the tenement was supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't know either. It was an apartment of some kind. Yeah, and
and like he shows up and fights a demon that has possessed someone.
Yeah, he gets him into a mirror and then throws the mirror out, and of course we also have his this cab driver who's basically kind of like his apprentice, who's played by
actual
very
cannibal
young
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, very young Shia LaBeouf, pre-Transformers Shia LaBeouf.
Oh yeah, I guess this is before that. Wow.
Yeah. So he tells this. And he's got that friend of his who's the Catholic priest, Father Hennessy, and he. I want to say that the actor who's playing him, I want to say, is in Superman. I think he is. Yes, he is. He's playing. Yeah, he played. He's Paul Kent in.
Okay.
In the new Superman. But he. So the other thing too with Constantine is that he has this gift of foresight, basically, where he can see things, like from the other realms that no one else can. And other people have this gift as well, and one of them is the Catholic priest, and it makes it kind of sound like he's schizophrenic, but he just hears other voices from everywhere, and he drowns them out with booze. So they're basically just kind of like trying to figure out what's going on, and it basically all leads to the coming of Lucifer's son, and they need the Spear of Destiny to do it.
Right, which is so they said that Christ didn't die of crucifixion; he died when the spear pierced his side. I'd always heard the opposite. Like basically, like you don't really survive crucifixion, and that was like the Roman legionnaire making sure he was actually dead.
Yeah, that's how it went. Yeah, he died. He dies on the cross, and then they pierced his side. Yeah, to, as you said, to make sure that he was dead. I don't know where they got that from. I guess they're just.
This movie seems to be very Catholic, so maybe the Catholics tell a different story than I've heard before. So
yeah, probably, yeah.
And that was a thing that was very interesting in this movie, is that it's like very Catholic. It's like no other like branch of Christianity or religion is mentioned at all. Like this is a pure like medieval Dante's Inferno inspired vision of hell here.
Oh yeah. And they also mentioned too that there are like passages in the Bible that weren't really in there. Like you know, so well, it's in the Bible in hell. Like what, the Bible's in hell?
Yeah, there's like a hell Bible that has extra verses for the demons. And
Yeah.
Ninja says Catholics don't believe that. Okay, I thought I was.
Okay.
I didn't think I was crazy, but
Yeah, that must have just been something that they created for the movie.
yeah. So so I gotta say, Keanu Reeves is just kind of miscast if you're caring at all about the comic book version of the character.
Yeah.
The only things they really have in common are Demon Hunter, not even the K-pop variety, but Demon Hunter smokes a lot, male,
Yeah.
kind of mean spirited. Actually, no, the real Constantine is like very snarky and just kind of he likes to troll people, but he isn't like mean.
Yeah. 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 And oddly enough, the CW version of the character was pretty accurate to the comic book version.
I wonder if part of the reason they did that was because this one had come out and not done too well and was kind of unfaithful to it.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, because the guy who played him in that version was really good. And he's actually British.
Yeah. The other thing that was kind of strange is that he has none of the levity of that I associate with the character.
Yeah.
Who he and we both came up with this independently. We're like, okay, it wasn't just me. We're not crazy.
Yeah.
He looks like he's doing a Clint Eastwood impression the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like down to like the little facial expressions, the way he holds his mouth when he talks, just his physicality.
Yeah.
I haven't seen enough Keanu Reeves movies outside of Bill and Ted to know if he does this all the time. And in John Wick, he's wearing a beard, so it would probably cover up some of the effect anyway.
Yeah. No, he definitely comes across in the John Wick movies. He does come across like very Eastwood-esque.
Okay.
Yeah. Like even the way he says yeah. He says it. He says it almost exactly the same as Clint Eastwood.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's he must have right around the time this movie came out, he probably decided like, okay, I got to stop doing the Gen X surfer kid act and find somebody that whose acting style I could mirror as close as possible. And Clint Eastwood was probably who he picked.
Yeah, I mean Eastwood isn't the worst, especially if you're kind of like a limited range of facial expressions like he does. Like we're not the most expressive. It's like going for that sort of hard bitten stoicism makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and Eastwood has that sneer that when he looks at you like that, you're like, oh yeah, oh
yeah, it's like the apologize, my mule.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you're laughing with it or at it.
Yeah.
Or don't reach for that gun. I need you alive.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Keanu is kind of a poor man's Eastwood.
Yeah. Not that we're knocking the guy. I mean, I don't have anything against him. I mean,
no, and he's been fine in other things I've seen him in. Just it did not work for this here because the movie kind of takes itself too seriously, but it also it feels like a bootleg attempt to make another Hellboy. Honestly,
probably because I think Hellboy came out right around the same time.
I want to say it was like 2 or 3 years beforehand.
Yeah, and that movie did really well, as I recall, when it came out.
2004. Okay, so this was 2 years later. So probably it was in some sort of development, and maybe Hellboy coming out. It wasn't all that successful in theaters, but it sold a lot of DVDs back in the day.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, they did a sequel to it. I mean, so yeah.
Right. But from what I hear, it was on the strength of the DVD sales. So somebody at Warner Brothers said, "Quick, what's the closest we have to a Hellboy?"
Yeah.
Except that, like, where Hellboy had that, at least the Hellboy movies had that same sort of snark and sarcasm that I would associate with the Constantine comics and TV editions I've seen.
Yeah.
This is like the opposite, where they went more serious with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I remember. I think I watched this movie when it came out. It might have been a early Netflix when they were still doing, the early days of the mail-in DVDs, and
Right. Analog streaming.
yeah, and I remember it being like okay when I first watched it, and then this time I watched it, I kind of went, okay, yeah, this wasn't nearly as good as I remembered it. And the other thing too, I want to point out real quick is the director of the movie. His name was Francis Lawrence. He did all of the Hunger Games movies. Yeah, and what else did he direct? He saw something else in here. He directed. He a lot of music videos, which makes sense. Oh, he did I Am Legend with Will Smith.
Okay, I've never seen that one.
That one was pretty good. Depends on which version you watch with which ending, because there are two different endings.
Wasn't like they made the Hollywood friendly one and then they made the book accurate one.
Yeah. But yeah, this movie. I mean, I think there were some people that enjoyed it, because I've been seeing a lot of people on X wanting a sequel to this, and I think there were like kind of testing the waters recently to see if maybe they could get Keanu Reeves to come back to do another one.
Yeah, like get it on Netflix streaming again, because I think it was only just added recently.
Yeah. But yeah, I again, and I will say too, like I don't know really much about Constantine beyond like I said, like the CW version of the character in this movie. But yeah, like this version, I don't think necessarily did the character any justice.
Yeah. Now, as far as like positives or funny things I saw, special effects are good for the era. They've aged a bit, but like you can overlook that.
Yeah.
I did find it funny that I literally, as I was thinking to myself, man, you wouldn't have a character get away with smoking that much in a movie anymore.
Yeah.
That next scene is when he finds out that he has a very aggressive form of lung cancer, and that's kind of the positive of the movie. I would say is that it grapples a little bit with like the problem of evil.
Yeah.
Like because his back, you can kind of see why this version would be so grumpy. Because as I recall, he ended himself as a teen and was sent back and basically told to hunt demons to try to earn his way into heaven.
Yeah. And all the while he's being told, he can't buy his way into heaven, and he's got to, he has to believe, he has to have faith.
Right. He can't just know that clinically that God exists. He has to like actually do the needful and go to church occasionally.
Yeah.
But he's so like it grapples with some interesting themes. Just that a lot of the movie is not particularly engaging, in my opinion, and there's kind of too many background characters.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. The narrative wasn't really that cohesive, and you had a lot of different subplots, and you had a lot of different characters, like you're saying. Like you had, you had everything with Rachel Weisz's character. You had
who also wasn't especially interesting. Like her character from Mummy was a good kind of classic romantic foil off of somebody with a lot of personality, like Brendan Fraser.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like Shia LaBeouf is just kind of there to make snarky one-liners. And then we forgot to mention Djimon Hounsou is in the movie. He plays like a witch doctor who has a nightclub that's like it's like Switzerland. you know,
Right.
for demons and for good and evil.
Right. Now, the highlight of the movie for most people is when Satan actually shows up at the end.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and he's played by God, what's that actor's name? He's in a bunch of stuff. Peter Stormare.
Hmm.
Yeah.
He chews the scenery quite a bit.
Yes, he does. Yeah, he plays this. He plays Lucifer like very slimy.
Yeah.
You know, he's covered in oil, and he's just kind of how you would probably expect him to be. You know, he not big scary monster, but like ugh.
A low grade creeping evil.
Yeah.
Now, I think by that point in the movie, I was checked out enough that I didn't quite get out of it what some people did. I did mention I watched the movie to a friend, and he immediately said, "Oh yeah, that was the best part of the movie."
Yeah.
It's what he brought up unbidden as soon as I mentioned it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this movie it was on Netflix. It left on Monday.
Yeah, the 30th.
Yeah, so but it might be on Max.
Yeah, probably back on Max because it's a Warner Brothers movie.
Yeah.
Also, just realized if you had told me 2 weeks ago, okay, so in a few weeks you're going to review a comic book movie that you never got around to from an era you kind of like, and then you're also going to review an Adam Sandler tax exempt or tax write off vacation movie, and you're going to think that the Adam Sandler movie is better.
Yeah.
I would have called you kind of nuts, but yeah, here we are. I think we kind of have the same opinion on that one.
Yes. Yeah, we do. Yeah.
I think because this one tries for more, which means that when it swings and misses, it isn't hitting a single; it's striking out.
Yeah. Well, maybe they'll do a reboot at some point. Maybe James Gunn will do a reboot, and
well, he's got to make his Superman movie work too. First, I'm definitely seeing that. I think I'm arranged to see it with two different sets of people, so we'll see.
No, yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm more than likely gonna go see it with my parents. So, yeah.
Yep.
But I think we've said all we need to say for tonight,
and perhaps a bit more.
Yes.